From the sidelines to your ears, it's the BenchWarmers Podcast, where sports meets humor. I'm your host, Zach, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Jordan. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Was up a little late last night, woke up a little late this morning, but I'm well rested and ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. What you want to know what we got on the agenda for today?
All right. So we're gonna go over, some USC 314, which the prelims are happening right now. We'll talk a little bit of SmackDown, and what happened at SmackDown. Go over some things, and the road to WrestleMania. So that's gonna be a lot to unpack, and then we're gonna touch on a little football, what both college and professional, with days building up to the draft. You got a lot of action that's going on inside all 32 camps.
Definitely. I'm excited to get into this. So, like you said, the UFC 314 is going on right now, and I know you have it on in the background. So, how are the prelims, and let's hear some of your takes on the fights coming up and your prediction for the featherweight title.
Oh, so the prelims are as expected. They started off with the bang. The main card is really exciting. They're going to start off with Nikita Krylov and my good old buddy Dominic Reyes, who's ranked number 13. Nikita's ranked number 8. And this is on the fly.
I think you got that mixed up.
No.
Dominic Reyes is ranked 11.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about the matchup because I was going to get into the matchup.
No.
Yeah. Reyes is ranked 11. Nikita's ranked 8. This match is, like I was saying, this match is on the fly. I wasn't sure what happened between Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates, but that was scrapped, and so we get Dominic Reyes and Nikita Krylov. That'll start off the main card. Dominic's 14-4, Nikita's 30-9. They both are coming off of a win in their respective last matches. And then next, following that, you got Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. And I'm sort of excited for this because Bryce Mitchell is coming off of a win, and before that he got knocked out by Josh Emmett. So Bryce won via unanimous decision in his last fight. He's ranked 13th, sitting at 17-3. The guy he's there. I mean, a lot of people may know him from running his mouth on YouTube in regards to politics and stuff like that, but he's actually a really well-rounded fighter. But in this fight, I got Gene Silva, who is the underdog, 205 to plus 170 in it. Next, you got Yair Rodriguez versus Pitbull in this featherweight bout. Yair is 16-5, coming off of a loss. Patricio is 36-7, and he's making his UFC debut tonight on the main card. In this fight, there's really not much to go off of if you're a casual fan of the UFC, because this is Patricio's debut. The guy comes from Brazil. He's 5'6", 156 pounds. He's got a 67-inch reach. Yair, he's 16-5. He's coming off of a loss from Mexico, 5'11", 157 pounds with a 71-inch reach, and he just happens to be the favorite in this, 170 to plus 142. Yair is the number 5 ranked featherweight in the world at this moment. And then following that, you have the co-main event, which is Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. Those are both ranked fighters. Paddy Pimblett's 22-3. Michael Chandler's 23-9. Paddy's coming off of a win. Mike's coming off of a loss. That loss was to former UFC champion Charles Dubronx Oliveira. And in this fight, dude, I got Paddy Pimblett in this. Chandler's coming off of a loss.
The odds are on Paddy too.
Yeah, the odds are definitely in Paddy's favor, 162 to plus 136 for Michael Chandler. Yeah. The reason why I took Paddy in this is because Chandler is coming off of a loss, like I said, to Charles Oliveira. I mean, it's hard to judge it, Chandler, on that fight because they went the distance. It was a unanimous decision for Charles Dubronx Oliveira. The ground game was in Oliveira's favor, and it might be in Chandler's favor tonight. Paddy is a known striker, but he could also grapple really well. So that's going to be, in my opinion, I think that's going to win fight of the night. Next, you got the main event of the evening, and it's for the featherweight championship. You got Alexander Volkanovski coming back to take on Diego Lopez. And this is going to be a throwdown of the ages. Volk is 26-4, and Diego Lopez is 26-6. Volk is coming off of a loss to Ilia Topuria, who was the former UFC featherweight champion of the world. Now has moved up to lightweight, and is looking to chase, lightweight gold up there. Best of luck to him, but nonetheless, he still had beaten Alexander Volkanovski. And Alexander Volkanovski, I know a lot of you guys, especially the casuals, you know that name. The guy's a solidified Hall of Famer. He will be. He should be. He deserves to be. I'm the one who's going to say that I have Volkanovski in this one. He is the favorite, 162 to plus 136 against Diego Lopez. Diego is he's an up-and-comer. He's going to be a champion. Not really an up-and-comer. Diego's been around for a long time, but in the eyes of casual fans, like he's sort of on the newer side. There's nothing wrong with Diego here. I just think that it's going to be experience in these championship fights in which Alexander the great Volkanovski has a lot of experience in these high-intensity title fights. Let's not forget he did go and fight Islam Makhachev twice. And, he lost both of them, got knocked out the last one in the first round against Islam. But nonetheless, it's experience. And like I said, Volk has it, and Volk's been around for a long time. I say that he goes and he captures another title tonight, and yeah, dude, that's that.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention too much to UFC. I am a super casual fan. Like if there's a fight on, I'll watch it, but I'm not one to actually go and pay for it. But I'm looking at the tail of the tape, for Alexander and Diego. With Alexander coming off a loss and Diego coming off a win, you don't think that hurts Alexander's chances?
Not at all. It's because of who he lost to. Ilia Topuria is the fucking man. And Islam Makhachev is going to probably have not too much of a time because of the grappling and ground game that Islam possesses. But he's going to have a tough time with Ilia Topuria. And just like most people do, that striking will come out of nowhere, and next thing you know, you're flatlined on the mat. So I don't think that's going to affect Volkanovski, especially because before that, like I said, Volk also got knocked out by Islam Makhachev in the first round of that lightweight title fight out there in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, no, I don't think that this will affect him. Obviously, there's going to be nerves on both sides. I seen that Diego Lopez was in a screaming match last night at the press conferences, not with Volkanovski. I can't remember who it was with, but it seemed like Lopez was not too focused on the task at hand, and at that moment, and he was his eyes were not locked on Alex Volkanovski, and that's not the right mentality you want to go into. Arguably against the greatest featherweight of all time, and in this kind of a moment, you're competing for the UFC featherweight championship here, and Volkan, like I said, when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to the experience in these types of fights. And there's nobody better than Alexander Volkanovski in these types of situations, alongside all the other greats that also have the same experience as Alexander Volkanovski in this.
And, you say that Diego got into a screaming match last night, and he is, I would assume he's the younger of the two.
Yeah.
And that cockiness can come back and bite you, obviously. So with what you're saying and what I'm seeing, I probably have to agree with you. But it does kind of, the odds are in Alexander's favor, obviously. But if you look at the two side by side in comparison, Diego has the advantage. The leg reach, 41 to 36 in Diego's advantage. Diego has the reach at 72 and a half. He's taller. So, he could pull up the upset. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But I do agree with you, and usually it is the case that experience will triumph.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And you made some really good points there, because Alexander has with the thing with Volk is he's not the biggest, he's not the youngest, and he's not the fastest, but he seems to get the job done. And almost every single occasion. I just told you about the 3 times that he's fell flat on his face, and maybe this is going to be the 4th time. And if this is the 4th time, I have here in my notes that Volk's last fight was with the former world champion in Ilia Topuria, and before that he was fighting up a weight class, and in that a lot of people were talking about his age and him being the old man in this, and especially with against somebody like in this fight Diego Lopez, or the last fight Ilia Topuria. I think that's going to play a big part in his retirement if he loses this. I hope that this isn't the end of Alex Volkanovski. If now, I do hope it is, if we get the same Volk that we got in the fight against Ilia Topuria or the fight against Islam. A lot of people are giving Volk credit for that fight against Islam because it was on short notice. So he didn't have much time to prep for that fight. But he did get knocked out nonetheless by a head kick in the first round by Islam, and that a lot of that it will play into effect. But like I said, if it's kind of like a win-win or a lose-lose, because if he wins, he shuts a lot of people up here. Because you're not the only one who's bringing up the advantages. That's a big talking point, as it should be in these types of scenarios. It's not like we're talking about a prelim fight here. We're talking about the main event, for one of the world's biggest prizes in the world of combat sports. So yeah, I think that a lot of this stuff that you were mentioning, with the height and the weight, because Diego does outweigh him 160 to 157 as well, and as the reaches, both legs and arms that you mentioned. Other than that, though, you can even look at the record, right? The record's pretty much similar too. It's 26-4 on Volk's sides, and on Diego's side it's 26-6. So there's only 2 fights that separate these guys.
Right.
And obviously, you could tell which one has more experience than which. I'm not just talking about the record either, but the accolades. The accolades really show here. Diego Lopez is a favorite, especially with the guys that I talked to. They really favor him. Matter of fact, I would believe that Yeah, I was one of the only ones who are going for Volkanovski. You know, out of the guys that I train with down there, it's because of the age here. It's because of the age and the fact of how Alex lost his last two fights. I don't think that we'd be talking like this if Alex lost via decision or you know in the later rounds. But the fact that he got flatlined in two first rounds, that that plays a lot into it, And then you obviously got the age thing, which that it, that age thing never really stuck with me, other than the ones who actually are showing it. Because you got John Jones, who's a stud. No matter what anybody's opinions is on him, the guy's never lost, even though his record shows one bullshit no contest. He was winning that fight before all that stuff, so nobody counts that except for a piece of paper. The list goes on and on with these guys with the age. Until you're up there with the Tony Fergusons where you're losing 5 to 7 fights in a row, and guys like that, then I shouldn't worry. You really shouldn't worry about that kind of stuff. Like I said though, if Volk loses this fight in an ugly manner, or I'd say any way at all, you're going to hear rumblings of, well, when should Volkanovski think about retirement? What's the next stage for Volk? Does he want to go up? Does he want to go down? Does he want to leave? Those are the questions that are going to have to be answered by the end of the night, whether if Alexander Volkanovski loses this fight.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. Age has a little bit to play in it. I don't usually weigh a fight by age unless it's like you said, like he's really showing it. Kind of like, just for example, the Jake Paul and the Mike Tyson fight. Tyson he was showing his age. You could see it. And that's not a lot of the reason. Like that's not a lot of the issue in the UFC. Because those guys, they keep in shape. They train regularly. I guess I would think that Diego could win this if he's hungry enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he hungry for that title? Or is he just being cocky? There's a difference. You can be cocky and hungry, but you really got to be able to, back your shit up.
Absolutely.
And you have to be on your game when you're fighting an older fighter because they have been around and the experience is a thing. But I still agree with you that Alexander takes this. Does it go the distance, or do you think it's a knockout?
Well, both of these guys have shown, what they want to do. I think that this fight ends in decision. Matter of fact, I have it on my line that it does end in a decision for this fight. It could go. If it's a knockout, it's going to be Diego Lopez flatlining Alexander Volkanovski.
Well, you see, I'm looking at on UFC.com, the standings and the stats and stuff like that, and they have the odds to win by KO is plus 300 on both sides. Odds to win by submission 1,800 for Alexander plus, and then Diego's plus 650, and then the odds to win by decision. And you're right, Alexander has a plus 150 to Diego's plus 650. But the win by knockout is even. So I guess they're thinking that it could go either way.
Yeah.
But Alexander definitely wins if they go the distance.
Absolutely. And that just goes into, to show, like I was saying about the experience thing. In these 5-round fights, Alexander, I trust Volk more than I would Diego Lopez. Like I said, you look to who he's been in the octagon with in those types of fights. And there's nobody better than the number one pound for pound fighter, Islam Makhachev. In the lightweight division, there's nobody who can compete with his grappling excuse me, or his striking. I mean, you could argue John Jones. And I would honestly pay to see Islam wrestle, grapple at all with John Jones. I think that would be a fantastic matchup. But nonetheless, like that, it's gonna come down to a decision. Like you pointed out, like Diego needs to come into this fight starving for gold. He really does. And once he gets his foot on the neck of Volkanovski, he needs to hammer home. He cannot let up at all. Regardless of
Yep.
the age, you're dealing with a real killer inside that octagon, and that needs to be known on both sides. Like, Diego is no slouch at all either. The guy is a killer himself. Um, yeah, Volkanovski by decision.
Yeah, I like that. I like that choice. Anything else you want to talk about with the UFC before we move on?
Yeah, Michael Chandler. I know I mentioned him versus Paddy Pimblett. That's another one. Like I said, I predict that to be a fight of the night. I think it's going to be a banger. Um, I, my questions is this for the two. For one, what happened to the hype of Paddy Pimblett? The guy went from being, up there, on the same level with the Conor McGregors and the Sean O'Malley's of the world to now you don't really hear much about him, and you know, so yeah, I'm wondering, like, is the hype just gone? Was he exposed? And I'm hoping that tonight we'll be able to get more answers, from that. And Michael Chandler too. I mean, this guy is an entertainer. From the tough series with Conor McGregor to him showing up on Monday Night Raw, calling out McGregor, to all the way to the Charles DuBronx Oliveira fight where he lost the decision, to now against Paddy Pimblett. I mean, these are two guys who are well known within the UFC community, and I'm if Chandler does not win this fight, like, what's next for him? Because if you go over his list of opponents, these guys are up there, like Dustin the Diamond Poirier, Charles Oliveira, now Paddy Pimblett, and the list goes on and on. Like, if you can't beat these guys that are in the top 10, top 15, then maybe you should either think about, like, one, going down or up a division. And for him, it would be welterweight or back to featherweight, or calling it quits and leaving your gloves in the middle. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna stick with that, and I'm gonna let that one ride out, only because, like, it's too early to make any type of predictions on these two, in their careers. I know Patty's longtime training partner and buddy, Molly McCann, is retired after she had lost her last fight. Um, so I'm always wondering what's going through his head, Patty's head, as the moment builds up to a few hours here when he has to step inside that octagon. So yeah, dude, that's all I got for the on UFC 314.
Did you bring up your pick to win that fight?
Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah.
Yeah, Paddy Pimblett.
Okay. I didn't. I guess I didn't hear you, and I agree with that too. Like I said, I don't watch. I just go by the numbers. And by the numbers, I mean he's got a big advantage. So I agree with you. Patty probably takes that one.
Yeah,
So with that, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the rest of UFC 13
absolutely.
when the main card starts, and I see like the actual prelims just started with Darren Elkins and Juliana Rosa. So hopefully you enjoy all that. So let's move into SmackDown. We got a few things to talk about. Not a lot, just some significant things, and that might have something to do with WrestleMania. So why don't you get us started?
All right, so last night's episode of SmackDown, it wasn't a bad show, but it definitely did not feel like a a week out from WrestleMania. I mean, if you just go and look at the manias before, the road to WrestleMania has always been one of how do I put this, man? Like goosebumps feelings and
Yeah, one of the most like hyped couple weeks
yeah, and it's
for each show.
exactly like he said. And it just didn't really feel like that for this episode of SmackDown. Um, mean we got a bunch of confusing things that happened, especially with this number one contender to the women's tag title. It was a gauntlet match. It was a women's tag team gauntlet match. I forget all of the contestants were in there, but the one thing that struck me was one, Natty and Maxine Dupree. They make a really good tag team. Natty is Natalia is a veteran in the women's locker room, and I know Maxine has been struggling. She's been made fun of all across the internet with her in-ring skills, and honestly, I don't think that she's that bad. I think she's improving a lot, and I think if anybody should take her under the wing, it is Natalia Neidhart. And for those who don't know, that's the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and family members to Bret the Hitman Hart and all those guys up there in the dungeon. I really like that for Maxine, and I hope that she can develop a lot more because she's not, she's not a bad talent. So I think that she just got lost in the shuffle, and things just weren't really going her way at all. But they were the first ones eliminated, and then you got Candace Carter and what's her name? Do you remember Candace Carter's name? Tag team partner's name?
Oh, let me see. Katana.
Yeah, yep, Katana Chance. That's who it is. So
Yep.
those guys, they come out and they're fighting Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. And Zach, as I told you before, we started filming. None of this really made sense to me because just on Monday, you have those two competing. Meaning Lyra Valkyria and Bailey. They were competing for the women's Intercontinental Championship, and I just don't understand. Like, there's no. I understand like there's the respect there that was left in the ring after the match. Cool. I mean, but is that really a setup to go and chase the women's tag gold? Gold together? I don't. That just doesn't make sense to me. There's no story there. They had a match, and fast forward to SmackDown, and now they're competing together for a tag title.
It doesn't make sense to me either. It's not like they're doing like you remember back in the day when Shawn Michaels and John Cena had their thing, and they were going. And John Cena was the champion at that time, and then they both teamed up together, and they ended up winning the tag titles, and it was a big implosion. But I don't see them doing something like this, and it wasn't even a big lead up to the Intercontinental title match from what I remember. So I don't know what their line is. Maybe it's just to get Bailey and Lyra into WrestleMania. I can't see them, like I said before the show, I can't see them giving Lyra two dual champions right now. It's too early in this run, I think, and too early in her career. But I think maybe they're just trying to give her more exposure because they didn't have an Intercontinental title match lined up for her at Mania. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. So the only thing that I could think of is that for one, that you're absolutely right on that. And two, like I said before, like this doesn't make sense. You could have threw anybody in there with Bailey. Anybody in there from the Raw roster. First person that comes to mind. No, you can't throw Raquel and Liv in there because those are the tag champions, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, see, and this is another problem, is we don't know what the women tag team division consists of anymore.
Right.
So, again, going back to my original comment, none of this made sense. None of it did. You got your women's IC belt that you just debuted a few months back. You're supposed to be building this up. So what you do is you go and you book, your one of your biggest veteran stars in Bailey to go against one of your up and coming stars in Lyra Valkyria for the IC belt. You build that belt up, and the next thing you know, they squash this beef behind the scenes. I mean, we're not supposed to be breaking the fourth wall here, like
No.
I would have scrapped that whole fucking thing, or at least threw somebody in there.
Yeah,
Anybody.
Or, made it make sense more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Made it, maybe make it so like Liv or Raquel are, attacking Lyra in the back, and Bailey comes, Bailey comes in to save her. I think they just need to develop a story more, and I know they didn't really have the time before Mania. It's just, I think they could have did it better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they did. I mean, and I'm missing. By the way, I'm missing the show opener too, and I thought like it would be a good idea to throw this in right now, since we're talking about women. So the SmackDown opened by Randy Orton and Nick Aldis out there, and I know I told you this before. We started the show. But I had made a claim, on the last episode of the BenchWarmers podcast, about Nick Aldis taking on Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41, and last night they had teased that, and one of those lines was Randy Orton bringing up Mickie James, which is Nick Aldis's partner, and I liked it a lot. Not just because my prediction was right, but it's something new. It's something new, and as I stated before in the last episode, a lot of these WWE fans don't know Nick Aldis. They just know him as the on-screen GM to the SmackDown brand. But this guy is a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He has had bangers across the world. And I'm actually really excited about this, dude. Really excited about this. And even more excited that we have a chance to bring Mickie James, into the fold as well. And I'll tell you why I'm excited about that. Because Randy Orton is back into that voices in the head thing, and I just, for some reason, dude, I just think that, he's going to go and attack Mickie James in some way or form, and we're gonna get that Randy Orton again, and I'm a fan of it, dude. I loved it when he did it to Vince, to Stephanie, to Triple H, Foley. When he was that legend killer through the Apex Predator stage, dude, that was peak Randy Orton, and
Yep.
I'm just really really here for that, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. Like you said, it's different. And then bringing Mickie James back into the fold is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I would think most people know who Mickie James is. I mean, she's a former women's champion of WWE. She's a knockouts champion in TNA. She's been a champion all over the world. And she's a great talent. She was the women's revolution in wrestling started a little bit more with like the horsewomen, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and why is the other one eluding my name? The name here, not Bayley. Why do I have a blank, Jordan?
I have no clue.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch. But I think the real women's revolution started with like Mickie James and all these other talents. Yes, they were shown more for their looks, but they were good wrestlers in their own right. Because even at that point, you had like Beth Phoenix coming in and stuff like that. So you had a lot more wrestlers than divas.
Yeah, dude, I think that people when they talk about that, because I find that they bring that up a lot. Oh well, the four horsewomen are the one who started. Are we forgetting about a whole freaking era? I mean, the things that these guys are talking about, because they keep bringing up that damn mud match, the Tori Wilson stuff. That was all early 2000s. Like
Yep.
where, and then you fast forward and we get Beth Phoenix, who is built like a brick shit house, and who else? Yeah, AJ Lee of the world. There was a whole era there
You forget
of
about
women's.
like Awesome Kong too,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
Karma, as she's known in like TNA and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's an era itself where we started to see the transition of the world of professional women's wrestling inside the WWE when those guys came in, and Mickey
Yep.
James was in there. Mickey James obviously was a vet at that point. At that point in her career, because she'd just come off of the stuff with Trish, where she was stealing the persona and the insanity stuff, and then we get the Beth Phoenix and that, like you said, the Awesome Kong, AJ Lee, the Bella Twins, all kinds of stuff like that, and then that led into the Four Horsewomen, and then that led into what we have now, which is
Right.
really good, and entertaining women's
I
wrestling.
think people still bring up like when Beth Phoenix and all them came in as not being part of it because they were still called divas.
Yeah,
It wasn't, it wasn't the women's championship. They went to the Divas championship, and not at that point, Beth Phoenix was Divas champion. AJ Lee was Divas champion.
yeah,
And then after the Divas championship, they went back to the women's championship. And then that's when the Four Horsewomen came in. But you are correct in what I said. Even though they were considered divas and not WWE superstars, that is when it all started for the women.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we definitely don't need Sasha Banks' ego and head to be inflated more than it already is.
Right.
Nonetheless, so to finish that tag team gauntlet for the women's tag titles, Bailey and Valkyria actually won the match, so now they're set to go and fight against the women tag team champions and Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, and I don't like that now because I'm taking it like this match is going to happen at Mania, right?
That's what I would assume. Yeah, it says right here the right here on WWE.com. Bailey and Valkyria punched their ticket to WrestleMania 41.
Yeah. And this will segue into the other stuff too. I, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Again, I'm gonna hammer home on that women's IC title, with it being so new. Don't you think the best way to get it over would be to have it defended in some type of match at WrestleMania?
I would think.
So instead
I
of
would
doing
think.
that, we're going to go and have the reigning women's IC title holder team up with the opponent she just fought on Monday to go to WrestleMania, not to defend the IC, but to go and try and win the women's tag team titles. And they're not gonna take that. I mean, Liv
No.
and Raquel are a legitimate tag team.
Right. They have been for a while.
Right, and Liv's coming off of a hell of a world title run. It'd be a dick move, and it wouldn't make no sense at all to take the belts off of him now.
No, I don't see that happen.
So this is a big
I don't
old
see that
waste
happening
spot.
at all. Basically, I think they were just trying to, reach for the stars and try to pull a match out of their ass.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and all they needed to do was just stick. I mean, if they're looking for filler matches, stick with the one that you booked on Raw. Lyra and Bailey. Throw it in there again. Part 2. Put Bailey as the heel. She's been face for what, a year now, or half a year, I think. And you could easily turn her heel right after that match. You
Oh
could,
yeah, definitely.
boom. I tried to help you win these tag titles. You didn't come through, and then boom, heel turn. Now we got Bailey, Valkyria, WrestleMania 41 for the IC belt. Nonetheless, though, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship match at WrestleMania. That's what it looks like is going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, and for that, like, I'm glad that that this is actually happening. These are two stars that definitely deserve that type of exposure and that type of limelight on the biggest stage of them all. I'm happy for Jacob Fatu. The dude has worked his ass off. And the same goes for LA Knight. Zach and I are both really big fans of LA Knight, and we want him to get what he deserves. And I think this is
I
it.
want him to have his WrestleMania moment. Not that Jacob Fatu can't win the U.S. title, but I think LA Knight needs his WrestleMania moment. And regardless that it's a mid card title, he's still going to get a big pop, and he's one of the most liked superstars, one of the most hyped superstars. And I'm actually excited to see what Jacob Fatu can do on his own. Like, I'm hoping that Solo Sikoa does not get into the mix. But that's bloodline nature. We'll just have to see how that goes. But I want all these guys from the bloodline to go out and do singles things without help. I want to see what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that LA Knight takes this. But knowing WWE, I don't see them doing it clean. Instead, I think that this is going to be their segue to introduce new talent, like I stated before the show. Hikuleo has been signed to WWE for some time now. And those of you that don't know, he is the son of Haku. And he's been signed for the longest time. And I think that this is going to be how it happens. Hikuleo is a big dude, and so is Jacob. I think that that's how that match ends, is Hikuleo comes out and costs Jacob Fatu the match, and LA Knight retains. I mean, it still gives Knight that moment of.
It does, but I don't think it tarnishes that moment. He doesn't get a clean win. I don't know. To me, that's what it feels like. It's going to tarnish his moment.
It is, but as of late, that seems to be the pattern for LA Knight.
Yeah.
He dropped that belt to Shinsuke. That Shinsuke run went nowhere. We all knew it was going to go nowhere, so they put the belt back on Knight in hopes to drive it up again, in which he is doing.
Yep.
That crowd last night in Seattle was booming for him. It's just the way that WWE works at sometimes, and I don't understand it. But that's the way I see it going. And then after that, who knows what they have in store for,
Right.
LA Knight, or even Jacob Fatu for that matter. I mean, if they do go the route of bringing Hikuleo in, now we have a WrestleMania Backlash moment set up for both Fatu and Hikuleo, and then for LA Knight, he can move on and make that title what it deserves to be, because the United States title has a lot of really good historic value to it, just like the IC and the WWE championship. But yeah, so I'm really excited for that, and especially if they do go that route, because I wouldn't mind seeing more former Bullet Club members coming in, because those guys are just, they're studs of an athlete. Hikuleo is, the Tonga twins, they're really good. And then Jacob Fatu, obviously. Zilla Fatu is in ROW, Reality of Wrestling, and I've seen some buzz about him, but this is nothing new. We heard about this when I was in Cleveland for SummerSlam. There was buzz about him showing up there alongside, the Bloodline and the Rumble, and now WrestleMania 41. I don't know. I'm hoping that we can get him, because that's the son of Umaga, and there's many different ways that they could go, especially because on the Indies, Zilla is and was the tag team partner to Jacob Fatu. They won tag team championships around the world together, and it wouldn't be a bad pickup for WWE to go out and sign him. But
No, and it probably would bring a little bit of new life to the tag division.
yeah, absolutely. But
Oh,
then we got
uh,
Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Damian Priest comes out last night, and he came out in street clothes, and I assumed that he was going to cut a promo on his match with Drew McIntyre, because he last week he had offered Drew McIntyre a Las Vegas street fight. Or they called it a Sin City street fight. And Drew comes out and attacks DP from behind. He comes out with that eye patch on, sells that really well. And then once he gets in the ring after he gets done beating up Damian Priest, he pulls off that eye patch to let everybody know that he is good and that he accepts Damian's offer. And I'm actually really excited for this match, mainly because in past episodes, you guys know how I feel about the direction of Drew McIntyre and the way WWE is doing him, and I'm starting to see this starting to pay off for Drew, because now he's, this is a former world champion and Damian Priest, and it's recent. And then Drew McIntyre, former WWE champion, just in the main event, not the main event last year, but he won the world title, even though it was for a split second. He won the world title there, and it ties into the history with these two, because who cashed in last year was Damian Priest, who took the title off of him. It's a full circle for Drew. It makes sense, and it fits. I like that, so we can end this whole fucking shenanigans of Drew McIntyre being a lunatic. And then after this, I'm hoping, because I have Drew winning this match. Damian, he likes to come in and do these street fight things. This isn't his first one, and it ain't going to be his last. I just see that Drew McIntyre will come and be victorious in this match, and I'm hoping that they move on from the so-and-so screwed me over. We just got to get back on the pace and on track with Drew McIntyre, because the guy is a main eventer. He's a needle mover, and he could definitely, once the Cena stuff dies down and we start to get back to normal WWE programming without these big-time Hollywood stars coming in, I'm assuming that Drew McIntyre is going to take over in the main event spot, alongside with Damian Priest. So Drew can get that, that glory that he deserves once more as a main eventer, and so can Damian Priest. But mainly Drew in this story here, because he needs to get out of that stuff. The story needs to end for him now.
it does. It definitely does, and I want him to have a significant main title run. I mean, you can go back to the pandemic era when he was champion, and yeah, he had. I can't remember how long his run was, but it was longer than recent. And it wasn't really fair to him. There was no fans. It's different. And now that that's all done with and things are back to normal, like, he deserves a true run with the
I
title.
think so too.
And I welcome a fresh start for Drew McIntyre, and I kind of hope he stays heel. He does his best work when he's a heel.
Oh yeah, he does. He does.
I didn't mind him as a face, but his heel work is top notch.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it showed last night when he was cutting them promos.
He destroyed him. He destroyed Priest.
yeah, he did. He destroyed him. And then, like I said, the work that he did on the mic last night was actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I feel the same way about Drew. And then following that, we had Ray Fenix versus Humberto of the LWO. I mean, not the LWO. Santos Escobar and Legado da Fantasma. And this match was actually good. I'm actually glad that, whoever produced this match, whether it be Pritchard, Triple H, or Helms, or any of those guys, I'm glad that they partnered Ray Fenix with somebody of his size, um, and somebody like Berto, because Berto he can sell, and in this match, he made Ray Phoenix look like $1 million, and that's something that you really want on a guy that is coming in for his second match in your company.
Yep.
There's no language barrier there. They both speak the same language, and you can go many ways with this. The greatest thing that I've seen, though, storytelling wise, come from last night's show was the work that Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett did on commentary during this match, and they did it throughout the night. And those two are really good on commentary. I liked them as a pair in the booth, but they really sold the fact that Ray Fenix has, a brother on the other side. The reason why I get so excited for that is because, I've stated before, it sets up for a really good tag team run between Ray Fenix and Pentagon Jr., and that brings new life into the WWE Tag Team division. I would rather them be on Raw than SmackDown because, The Miz is working with
flagship show.
yeah, but not just that. For me, it's how much talent do you have in each pool on each side, and on the
Right.
SmackDown side, for the tag division, you got a few names. The Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits, DIY. Whereas on Raw, you have the Judgment Day, you have the War Raiders, and maybe the New Day. I mean, these guys are not really there.
Not New Day. Not New Day now.
Exactly.
Maybe New Day, like last year or 2 years ago.
You know what I mean? So there's not really that much going on Raw in the tag team division. So once they do pair these two together, I hope that they send them to Raw, which I think that's where they're going to go, especially because like you said, for one, it's the flagship show. There's going to be more eyes globally on the Netflix platform than there is on the USA Network platform.
Right.
So, yeah, dude. And then, the storytelling in this match really interested me as well, because after the match, because Fenix beat him clean. He beat Humberto clean. 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, and Escobar comes up to shake Fenix's hand, and I was assuming that he was going to do some, because Legado del Fantasma seems to be a heel. Now, they're teasing a little bit of split, because that was the whole thing of Berto being in the match with Fenix, is Escobar saying, yeah, you need to go out and prove yourself. So in that match, they by the way, they tore the whole house down, and there was another match on here that did the same for me as well. Wait a minute, I'm just checking. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I wasn't sure, but yeah. So Santos goes up to Ray and tries to shake his hand, and I assumed it was going to be some heel tactics there, but it wasn't. He actually he shook his hand, and that was that. Left the ring. Cut to backstage. Escobar is hammering Humberto, and then turns around and ends the whole segment with, "I'm gonna go over to Ray Fenix and congratulate him." So that leaves the door open for more work for these guys between Legado del Fantasma and Ray Fenix in the near future. And yeah, dude, that's so. With that match itself, I was really excited. I'm a big fan of Ray Fenix and Santos Escobar. Escobar, in my eyes, is he's up there with the Adam Coles. He can definitely fill in for a main event guy. He can handle it. If they needed somebody to carry the world title, he can do it. But he could also flip the switch and be a mid-card guy as well. He can hold the U.S. strap, or he can hold the Intercontinental title. He's athletic. He's agile. He's got strength, speed.
Right.
And especially with this faction he's got, and he's had this since NXT as well. When Legado del Fantasma was feuding with Tony D'Angelo and the family and down in NXT. Um, so the faction itself has some stability, and there's a lot left to tell within Legado del Fantasma story, but more importantly, the story of Santos Escobar as well.
Right. And uh, you bring up that faction and the way Escobar, uh, you know, basically he congratulated Ray Fenix in the win. The story, I think the way they're going to go is Escobar tries to recruit him,
Yeah.
you know, and, and that's how that rivalry is going to happen. That's how that feud's going to go on, I think. And it's exciting to watch because with Ray Fenix high flying and high energy, it's going to pair well with Escobar's. Like you said, he's a title holder. He could be a title holder, and it's just going to be a really good feud, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is going to be a really good feud, and I mean, that was clearly the direction in which SmackDown was heading with that. Is either a split. Well, it's definitely going to be a split of some sort. Um, but Ray Phoenix is in that storyline, um, and that's really good. You want to get these newer guys on TV as much as you possibly can without the audience getting bored of them, and such like that. But following that, dude, you got a backstage segment between Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez, which later had a match which closed the show. Um, that that segment itself really set the tone for me, especially because of how I feel about the state, the state of WWE, mainly over there on Raw, but SmackDown. It seems like they get the hint, dude, because Tiffany Stratton, who is the reigning WWE Women's Champion, and Roxanne Perez, who's a former NXT Women's Champion, she has some records down there in NXT. As the NXT Women's Champion, these two have so much chemistry, and they can definitely build this. I have it underneath of this is finally WWE is building new stars, with Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez is, she's giving me AJ Lee vibes from everything from the way she dresses to, her personality. I know in episode 8 we touched on the whole, people stealing gimmicks and stuff like that. She's not doing that at all. What she's doing is she's got her favorite, and she is clearly pulling from AJ Lee with
Right.
everything, and I'm here for it. We're starting to see a new ball rolling down the hill, and I'm glad. I'm really glad. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I just love this. I love this kind of stuff from these guys.
I think this also kind of gives a hint that they're not going to drop the title to Charlotte Flair. I truly believe that, mostly because of how some of these newer stars are, like Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton, and they tore the house down last night with that match.
Yeah.
So I think they'd be dumb to drop the title to Charlotte, because then that just kind of kills the momentum you're having, because then where does that put the storyline for the title?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair are going to have a banger of a match at WrestleMania, because Charlotte Flair is no slouch in her own right. She's definitely one of the better ring workers in the women's division. But we've been talking about WrestleMania moments, and Tiffany Stratton is going to get her WrestleMania moment, and it's going to be a passing the torch kind of thing, just like when Charlotte lost to Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. She was passing the torch to Rhea Ripley, and that's what she's going to do with Tiffany Stratton. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that they have to go this way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way that they could go, because if they take that belt off of Tiffany Stratton and they put it on Charlotte Flair, you are really just you're not, you're not playing the heel. You're not. What you're really doing is you're taking eyeballs off of your product, because we've seen this before. That was the whole uproar between the whole Vince McMahon versus Paul Levesque
Yep.
in the production of things. Is, well, Triple H has given us new, fresh content, and Vince is shoving the same stars for the last 15 years down our throat, and every single main event, and every single PLE. So you're really backpedaling if you go that way. So yeah, they have to they have to go and give this moment to Tiffany Stratton, and she deserves it. You know, she really
Yep.
does deserve it as well. We talk about that a lot, of people who deserve it. You know, she's one of them. There's only one exception for this kind of stuff, and that's the John Cena and Cody Rhodes thing. This
Yeah.
with Cena, it's different because he is going. Charlotte Flair already has the record. She has 14 titles. She has the most. You know, she has more than Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus was the record holder. Charlotte Flair is, the new record holder. So Charlotte Flair already has that history. You know,
Yep.
she could retire tomorrow, and she'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know,
Oh, definitely.
and I'm not saying the same thing about John Cena, because John Cena were to retire today. Next week, you'd be seeing him on the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. Most
Um,
definitely.
you
I mean,
know,
he carried the company on his back for, 20 plus years.
exactly, exactly. And you could say, I mean, Charlotte Flair didn't carry the company for 25 years, but she did carry the women's division for all that time. You know,
Yes, she
so
did.
she has all of that. But what Cena doesn't have is that world title record. That's the narrative. That's the story here. Whereas the Charlotte
Yep.
Flair, the only story that you got here is you two resemble each other. You know, you got one up and comer,
That's it.
and you got the legend. You know, you got the heel, you got the villain, you got the hero here. Tiffany plays the hero very well. There's a few,
Her heel work, I think, is better than her face work.
yeah,
actually.
thank you. Because I was going to say during that segment, it was a great segment between her and Roxanne. They were outside of Aldis's office, and there was banter back and forth. Who's better? I did this. You did that. You know what I'm saying? It was really nice banter. But as I was going to say, there's a few things that I've noticed about Tiffany that she could probably improve on, and that's her cadence. That's the biggest thing that comes to my mind. When you're playing a villain, I think it's easier to play the villain because you can just be an asshole, straight face, be an asshole, and that'll be it. But with playing a good guy, you actually have to put some work and some time into this, and then
definitely.
write down the lines, or what have you. You could
Yeah,
tell.
you gotta watch what you say.
Yeah, exactly. And you could tell that just by her cadence that she's got, something either pre-written or, whatever.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that face work is scripted.
Yeah,
You can
that's
definitely
exactly
tell.
what I'm trying to say. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You could definitely tell because of the way.
Unless you're a John Cena. I mean,
Yeah.
John Cena is the greatest face of all time, and he pulled it off. Obviously, I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, John Cena.
so you have to be like that.
Yes, you really do, and that's a good point, dude. That's the bar. John Cena, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or if you're a man. In that world of WWE, John Cena is the bar. He's the guy that you want to type of model your career after, whether it be the heel, because there's a lot of stuff because that's a big talking point is, Cena was a face for 25 years. No, he wasn't. No,
I would say his Doctor of Thugonomics was more of anti-hero.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was complete heel.
I would say,
but it wasn't complete face either.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's. You could say that, but at the same time, it was towards the end when he started to push into the more anti-hero thing, whereas earlier in the Doctor of Thugonomics, it was every time he came out, he's dogging on this city, he's dogging on this opponent, he's dogging on Stephanie McMahon. And then later on, after he won the United States Championship from the Big Show, that's when you started to see, Cena start to dive into like the hero side of things and like the good side of things. And then from there, the rest is history because then he goes on to win the WWE Championship against JBL. I think it was WrestleMania 21, and then all the way up until now, where John Cena is the bar when it comes to modeling yourself at. So yeah, I agree with you there. Tiffany really needs to. She's already got it. She's already got it. She just needs to work on it a little bit more, and that's that. Whereas the Roxanne, it's hard to critique her right now because she's playing a really good heel. And as I said, it's a lot easier to play an asshole than it is to play a good guy, because you have to put some work into it. You got to put some thought in this. And like Zach had said, you got to watch what you say. You can't really you can't really curse. You can't really bully anybody. You can't do you got to stick dot your I's and cross your T's and everything that you do when you play when you play a hero or a face. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that little backstage segment from them too, and I believe that they have some history in NXT too. I know it's not long history, but nonetheless they do have it. Next, dude, we have Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green, and I know it's just a filler match, but it seems like they're building a story for the United States Championship the Women's United States Championship, and it looks. I don't know. I mean, listen. I like Zelina Vega, but I don't. How do I say this without being a dick, dude? Like, I don't want her to have the belt.
I think I know. You don't want her to have the belt. I think she could. I think she kind of deserves it. She's been in long enough.
Yeah, well, I'm not. No, not from that type of. Like, because she deserves.
Oh, I wonder if you're. So you're saying because Chelsea Green's kind of more popular?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the fans go crazy for Chelsea. Yeah, the fans go crazy for Chelsea Green, and rightfully so. I mean, she plays her part really well. And I've saw I can't remember what podcast she was on, but she enjoys playing like that kooky.
Yeah.
Like girly girl and she does it really well.
Really well, dude. Really well.
And like I said, the fans eat it up. Chelsea Green.
Yeah, every single time.
And it might be a mistake if they drop the belt to Zelina Vega, but I think Zelina Vega would do the title well.
You think so?
I think she would. I think she would hold the title well. And even if they do this kind of back and forth thing with the title, I'd be okay with that too, because Zelina Vega, in her own right, is a really good wrestler, and so is Chelsea. So, and that match last night, from what I understand, was actually really good. I mean, even though it was via no countout.
That's the only problem that I had with that match, by the way. The rest of it was fine. My issue is not with Zelina Vega.
That's Chelsea Green's MO.
Oh yeah, she's been putting before she even signed with WWE, GCW with Matt Cardona, her real life partner and stuff. But no, with my problem is not that Zelina Vega doesn't deserve it, because she does. She's put in the work, she's put in the time. My problem with this is the booking with her. Like, it seems like every time that we turn around, she's being put into some fucking faction. Yeah.
I could see
the LWO. She didn't need to be in the LWO. I get it. You're like the diversity is there. You can't say that Triple H. I don't know. You can't really feed into those rumors of the racism and stuff, because who's your tag team champions? The Street Profits. You know what I'm saying? Zelina Vega needs to be on her own, dude. That's all. She's a really good talent. She proved it last night. And not just last night, and every other match that she's in. She could tear the house down. Think of when they were in Puerto Rico for Backlash, when she fought for the women's title. You remember that?
I think so, and
That
it
was
was
a
a
very
banger
good.
of a
Yeah,
match.
that was a really good match. The problem isn't Zelina Vega. The problem is that they're booking her into all these stupid ideas and factions. Let her go out and do her own thing.
Yep.
You know,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
if she was to go out and do her own thing and build her stock up the way she wants to, yes, throw it on her. You know,
Yeah.
but until that day comes, she's a manager. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that.
that's my only
I
problem.
definitely agree.
She has, dude, and she has it all. Like the size can be debated. You know, they go Rey Mysterio enters in at number 1, wins the whole thing, goes on and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. That size thing in the world of professional wrestling doesn't really, and it makes a great story to David and Goliath. You know, and maybe
Right.
that's something that they could work on with her if they go that route. But you can't
Well,
just throw
and
the belt on her and expect people to follow her, especially
no, and
of who you're taking off. Like you said, every time, whether the fans are saying her name the way they do, or you know the kooky and dumb things that she says on the mic and backstage, the stuff that she's doing with Piper Niven. There's a lot of good things going for Chelsea Green right now, rightfully
yep.
so. Zelina Vega needs to get up onto that level. And I just don't think that if you take the belt off of Chelsea, you put it onto Zelina Vega, it don't matter what stage it is, it's not going to do Zelina justice.
You're probably right on that, and I think it would do Zelina better if they would have did this a few years ago when Zelina was the Queen of the Ring,
Yeah.
because she was at the height of her career at that point.
Yeah.
You know, winning Queen of the Ring. And if they would have had this title or the IC title back then, I think it would make more sense.
I would have had I'm sorry. I would have had her have been the inaugural women's champion. I mean, United States women's champion. I think that if they would have went that route, because it fits around, it was on the tail end of all that, where she was, because King of the Ring was last year after WrestleMania Backlash, I believe, somewhere in that time frame.
Was it that close?
I'm not sure. I know it was in the early seasons. Are you able to Google that for me real quick? I believe that it was in the early seasons of, so it had to have been before SummerSlam, before SummerSlam, after WrestleMania Backlash, in that time frame.
Let's see. It was. It was in May.
Okay, so yeah, right after WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, you're right.
So I would have went that route.
Well,
and then build up.
I don't know if it was it was May of last year, because that was Lyra Valkyria and Nia Jax in the finals, and Nia came up with that one. But when Zelina won it,
that was
sometimes they change things.
Yeah. No, you're spot on with that, because right after Nia being the Queen of the Ring got her that title shot, she won.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Tiffany Stratton as champion now. Yeah. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the match that I talked about with the WWE title, bro. That's what it is. Because shortly after that, she won Queen of the Ring. Did she not?
No, she didn't win Queen of the Ring. She won the Crown Jewel.
I thought she won Queen of the Ring with Xavier Woods.
I thought she did too. Zelina was supposed to be in the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, but she got hurt.
Oh.
But she won.
Because wasn't that her gimmick for a while?
They did a Queen of the Ring tournament in 2001 at Crown Jewel.
2021, right?
Yeah, in 21. Yeah. That was the first Queen of the Ring.
And when was her WrestleMania Backlash moment in Puerto Rico?
Let's see.
Because that's when she went for the title, I believe.
that was Rhea Ripley versus Zelina. That was in 2023.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah.
in between then, so there's a bunch of blank spaces there.
Yeah.
A bunch of them. They could have carried that momentum after that match with Rhea Ripley,
Yeah.
and they never did.
No.
You know? And now, all these years later, I mean, it's not that long. I mean, 2025 and 2021. But anyways, instead of like carrying that momentum and building her then, they're going to try and take this mid-card title off of somebody who's actually popular and the fans are actually familiar with
Right.
the most and put it on her just to build her up. When that's a dumb way to work it, dude. Build her up in the proper fashion. What they did last night, perfect way to build her up. Perfect. You got over on a champion. You know? Leave it like that, and then carry it on. And if you want to have her compete at WrestleMania, because they're going to have to put one of these mid-card titles for the women up there on the card. And I know the whole card was advertised last night on SmackDown.
Let me look it up.
And I'm not sure that they have that one booked yet, but it looks like that's the way they were going to go, is Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green for the United States Women's Championship at WrestleMania 41. Which, go ahead, do that, because you're going to, like, you build, now you're starting to catch fire with Zelina Vega. Now you're building her up. You do this. At Mania, she loses to Chelsea Green. You give Chelsea Green the moment. You give, you're still doing a lot of justice to Zelina Vega. They put on a banger of a match because Chelsea Green can go, and so can Zelina Vega. Those guys are both competitors, really good competitors. You got the high flying aspect from Zelina Vega. Chelsea can go as well. She's got a gas tank on her. Put Chelsea over. Zelina goes back, but keep on building that up, building that momentum up for her.
Right.
Don't just let her crash and burn.
No, I agree with you, and I did find the card for both nights. So night one, you got Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, the Women's Championship, the United States Championship, Jade Cargill versus Naomi, the World Tag Team Championships with the War Raiders and the New Day, El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio, and then to end that night, because I think, or is that going to be the first? I don't know how they have it lined up here.
The one with Cody Rhodes and Cena is night 2.
Yeah, but they have, the World Heavyweight Championship with Gunther and Jey Uso at the, if you read it up from top to bottom, that's the last match on night 1. So I'd assume Gunther, Jey Uso are going to main event night 1. And then night 2, or like I said, or they're going to have it like Roman Reigns and them going to be main eventing. And then night 2, they have it written here, and this is on CBS Sports, so it might just be how they have it written out, but they have the Undisputed Championship, and then the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and I speaking of that, just real quick, with it being a fatal 4-way with, Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn, and Dominic, I think this is where we see the implosion of the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Right.
We don't have to get into that because we're running a little long. But Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, and then you got the women's tag team championships, and AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So they don't even have any of the mid-card women's titles on there.
Yeah, so they're going to need to put one in there. And I would have went with Lyra and Bailey. Bailey can put asses in seats more than Chelsea Green can in that aspect.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have done. But since they're not going that route, they have to. They're going to have to put this belt on the line. And that's honestly just the way that I would go. That's obviously that's just my opinion on it. I think that they should,
Right.
go that route. But after Zelina loses at Mania, don't let her crash and burn. Keep building her up.
Yeah,
Throw her on screen more.
keep the feud with her and Chelsea Green. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure that could work, or put Zelina in the conversation more.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that's that. And then the main event was great. We ain't got to get into that because we already did when we talked about Tiffany. Um, that's Naomi and Jade thing, and I'm gonna say this, dude, real quick is Naomi is trying so hard. We just got done talking about the whole heel thing and how to do it. Like it's easy, but I don't know. Is she trying to do like a certain character here? Because
I don't know. I
that's
think
what
she's
I
trying
got
to
from
do
her.
her own thing. I
Oh
think she's trying to do her own thing, obviously, and she's never done heel work,
yeah,
as far as I can remember. Um, it's kind of working. I think this whole feud with her and Jade Cargill is kind of like a filler feud,
yeah.
kind of.
Um,
Um, I mean, it makes sense of what they did and all that, but you would think it would have more to do with Bianca Belair and like what's going on with her, like tie her into it more. I know
mm,
she has her own thing with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley right now, but I think there could have been more of an aspect on her. Um, I don't mind what Naomi's doing, but it definitely could be better. It definitely needs worked on if
yeah.
she's going to keep doing heel work.
I think that that I have it here, dude. She's going in the right direction. She just needs to stop trying so hard and just let it happen naturally. Um, I thought that the whole glow thing was played out. I made that known too. I'm a fan of Naomi. I just think that this right here is her. Let it
Yeah,
go. Let it happen naturally. Don't push it. That's why I asked. Is because she had the caution tape around there. She, you know, made the pundit of take caution when you fucking with me and stuff. Um, so that's why I asked that question. But just let it happen naturally. Because she's got gold here, real and Jade too. Jade is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal athlete. She's a future world champion. And I'm glad that they partnered her with Naomi because Naomi is a veteran. She is a former world champion in her own right, and she can go. I mean, yeah, dude. There's nothing wrong with her in ring skills. I don't think.
no, no, I don't think so, and I don't think she does the. Well, she might. I never really cared for her finishing move, the rear view. I
Yeah.
always thought that was fucking dumb. Uh, but I think they need to fix that. But other than that, Naomi's solid with
Yeah,
Jade Cargill.
dude, I agree with you on that finisher. She's gonna go into a new era for herself. Get rid of that move and come up with something different.
Yep.
'Cause I don't know. I just don't. I don't like that for her as a heel. You
No.
know. Uh, then you got obviously you got the Cody Rhodes promo where seems like Cena was too busy. He's going to be there next week, but for some reason he's not showing up 1 week before WrestleMania. I heel or not, dude, like at least if you were going to come out and say nothing, that's fine too. But
Right.
show up. It's the week before fucking WrestleMania, guy.
I'm kind of at odds with this whole thing. I'm tired of it, to be honest.
It just didn't feel
Yeah,
my needs, like I thought it would.
no, they're dragging it out and promo after promo, week after week, and nothing's happening, and like they're not even like getting into a brawl or nothing.
Right, dude. Do you think it would be
It's
better if they kept it just on SmackDown and not carrying over onto Raw and stuff, or just
yeah,
even
because it's
even
taking
if
up
it's just on
slots from
Raw,
other superstars.
like just
It's
stick to
taking
one
up.
show?
Mm-hmm. Stick to one show because it's taking up too many slots. It's taking
Yeah,
up too much time.
yeah,
I mean, and that was evident, a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
when one of the matches got cut short because John Cena's promo went too long. So it's screwing up with other people's screen time, with other superstars' screen time.
Yeah, dude. No, I agree with you, and we made that clear in the last few episodes as well. Like we get it. It's John fucking Cena and Cody
Right.
Rhodes. Those are your two poster boys right now. We know what's going down. This is why a part of the reason why I say like it doesn't feel like WrestleMania season at all is because like we don't really know what's going on.
No.
You know one thing for certain though. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes is going to happen on night 2. Sunday, April 20th. That's all we know.
Definitely.
We don't like. What about the Gunther and Jey Uso, which is, supposed to be your big thing as well. You guys are balls to the wall about Jey Uso. Why are they backpedaling? Why are they pulling back from this now?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't really want to even get into this promo because it was just Cody Rhodes talking about old WWE titles with a message to John Cena.
I think that he was just filling it, filling his time slot.
Probably. He probably was just filling up time, but it's just the same old broken record. They're talking about the same shit every night. So we don't even have to get into it.
They
just kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, dude, and me too. Because I was hoping that we were gonna get something like you said. Like nobody's gotten physical at all. And the only time that they got physical was at the Rumble, wasn't it? No, Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
That's and that was The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena. I mean, we haven't. It just doesn't feel the same.
But and it's like they hyped it up. Like I just want to touch on this real quick. They hyped it up so much. Like after the Elimination Chamber, like I thought this feud between Cody Rhodes and John Cena and The Rock and stuff was going to be great. Just how they started it, with Cody Rhodes telling The Rock to fuck himself.
Exactly.
Like in front of millions of people, hundreds of thousands at the live show. It just, and it hasn't lived up to that. That was the height of the feud, and that was right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, that's just my issue with it. You can't tell The Rock, who's probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, to fuck himself, and then nothing happened after that. We haven't seen hide or hair of The Rock. Really? I mean, he's been on a couple times, but it's nothing
That's
like...
it, though. I think he's been on... No, he hasn't even been on a Raw yet. Has he?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
The last time we've seen The Rock was Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I believe so.
He's supposed to be the guy that's behind all of this,
Yep. Yeah.
This story made sense at first, like you said. This story was gassed up to be the biggest thing ever, and then it's a dud. They better have something really, really good at WrestleMania planned, because this could fail. This could backfire in their face, dude.
I think it already is.
I mean, so.
Me and you are big fans of the WWE, and I can imagine that other fans are feeling the same way.
Yeah, dude, this is one of those things where I can't shield these guys, and this is ass.
Like I have a hard time watching things live right now, just because life and everything else. And so when I go to watch it back, and as soon as I see that the Cody Rhodes or John Cena promo starting, I fucking skip it because I don't care. I don't care about the storyline anymore.
No, it's bland, dude. It's the same thing over and over and over again.
And to be honest, if I don't like the match, because that's obviously going to be the main event of night 2, and I don't even know if I'll stay up that late because of work, but I don't even know if I want to watch it. I'm to that point of it.
I'm hoping that at least one of my predictions comes true, and that's Stone Cold being there. He's obviously him and Bret Hart are being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Then you have that element of The Rock being there, and the fact that due to money he wasn't able to show up last year at WrestleMania, and that's why we got The Undertaker, along with other reasons, I'm assuming. But That's what I'm hoping for with this match, is that we get something big from it. Because if not, like I said, dude, it's gonna backfire right in their face, like really bad. I mean, you start this match with, not this match. You start this whole thing with Jey Uso, right? And I think what people were getting at was, yeah, we want to see him go and like fight Gunther. We don't want to see him like win.
No.
We don't expect that. I should say, not you know what I'm saying. Like the IC belt was really cool, really really cool for Jey. Really sold the underdog story. I'm not saying that that's not the case now, because a lot of people, dude, a lot of people are still behind Jey Uso, rightfully so. He's building charisma now. His last promo with Gunther, I'm not scared of you, and going into all that stuff, top notch stuff, dude. Jey Uso is really coming into himself as a singles guy. I really like his tag work, and I'll keep saying that. The Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. So it starts with that, the Royal Rumble winners. I said it last episode. These guys have shitted on the Royal Rumble with this year's WrestleMania. Yep. The whole point of the Royal Rumble is to win the thing, go on to main event the show of shows, not to open the fucking thing.
And if I'm reading the card right, it's not gonna.
No.
Then neither of those are going to main event.
No, none of them are. Charlotte and Tiffany are probably going to open night one.
And then Gunther and Jey are going to open night
two.
Or no.
They'll probably
they're not
have
on night two.
No, they'll probably have Jey and Gunther open night one. Tiffany and Charlotte open night two.
No, they have Tiffany and, or am I looking at this wrong? Yeah, they have Tiffany and Charlotte on night one.
Do they?
Same with Gunther and Jey.
Yeah, that's
one of those
tough.
is opening night one. One of those is opening night one.
It's probably
and one of them is going to be, and one of them is going to be in the middle, which usually the middle part of the card is kind of like not the exciting parts, So
yeah,
and them having what I assume is going to be Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins main eventing night one.
Dude, that's solidified. That was actually announced. Is that
so
those two are main event night one?
It just doesn't. They're just hurting the prestige of the World Heavyweight Championship.
They should have never brought it back.
They're making it like a mid-card title.
Yeah, that's what it's become. It went from when Seth Rollins had it, and it was the workhorse championship like it always was, to Seth Rollins was defending the thing on episodes of Raw, all the way up until now. And I'm not blaming Gunther for this. You can't blame Gunther for this, because Gunther, look at over 600 days as a fucking Intercontinental Champion, and made that thing and that match with Sami Zayn feel like it stole the whole fucking show.
Yep.
And I'm not blaming Jey Uso either.
Nope.
Anybody wants that spot. I'll take that fucking spot. I'm sure you'll take that fucking spot. And anybody wants it. So that it boils down to, the product went from its peak, and now it's starting to come down on the decline with this WrestleMania. It was cool and everything the last two ones, because we actually had something to pull from, whereas it's all over the place. You can't pull shit from it.
No. And I honestly think that has a lot to do with what we started talking about, was John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
And then it stems from that. And then you have like all the history with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk.
Yeah.
But the main thing is Cody Rhodes and John Cena. And
right. Yeah. And they could have they could have tied this all in, dude. They could have. The only thing that doesn't really, I mean, it does, because I was going to say CM Punk, but think of the War Games thing, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and the rest of them. They could have made this one big story, but they didn't. Yep. They didn't. They put Punk, Rollins, and Reigns over on one side, and then they got Cena, Rock, and everybody else here, and then you got Solo, doing his own thing. Sami Zayn's somewhere in the facility. It's all over the place.
It is.
Nothing makes sense. Instead of like they really took like Control Alt Delete and serious with this one, dude. Like they really reset a lot of shit like to the bone.
Yeah, they definitely did, and I think they're going to have to do it again.
Yeah.
And so we can get moving on off of wrestling, I want to end it with this, that after this WrestleMania and WrestleMania Backlash, because you can't restart before that because you're going to have matches and stuff that stem from WrestleMania. But they need to do another complete reset, I think.
Yeah, they
and
do.
rework what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Because we know if Cena wins the belt, it's going to be, again, Cena and Cody Rhodes, promoing. You're not going to see the title being defended. Like, you're not seeing it now. So, like, they need to figure something else out.
Yeah, for sure. That's what they need to do. They need to have they have have the next play on deck. But yeah, so yeah, that's that, dude. I know you have that one some college football news that you want to touch on.
I just wanted to bring it up because it does seem like a big significant thing. I have a couple of sources here of different news articles and stuff. I don't know if how much of this is true. You can't go by news articles because sometimes they kind of stretch the truth a little bit here. But in the world of college players being paid, I agree they should be paid, right? They put in the work. They're on TV. People know their names, and they rightfully deserve to be paid.
Right.
But not as much as some of these guys are getting paid. And in that case, this Nico Lamaliva, he was the quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers. On CBS Sports, I'm reading this article. He was the number 2 prospect nationally in high school. And he was recruited on, it's reported that he was recruited on an $8 million NIL deal with the Volunteers. That is crazy to me that you're going to give an 18-year-old and 19-year-old, I would assume he was 18 when he got recruited, $8 million, right? That one is nuts to me. And then you go on to, I have another one here from the Bleacher Report, that it was reported that his current contract with the NIL is anywhere in the range of $2.2 million to $2.5 million a year. So the issue with all of this is that it is speculated that Nico wanted more money, and Tennessee is releasing him. So nobody knows where he's going to end up. It's big talk right now. And it's reported that he was asking $4 million a year on his next year, on his next deal, which he's a junior right now, I think. So he wants $4 million for the next 2 years. I mean, and it's being thrown around that it's the talks were denied, that there was no renegotiation talks. But regardless, this brings up a point that I just want to get your opinion on. Do you think, because if players are coming out of college making this kind of money, why even go to the NFL? Because you're making more in the college level than you are on a rookie deal. So I just want your thoughts on these college players being paid this much while they're in college, and if that hurts the NFL at all.
No, it doesn't. Well, for starters, it definitely does not hurt the NFL. The NFL is a multi-billion, that's a billion-dollar conglomerate corporation, and yeah, to ask, because I know, we talked about this before, to ask for that much money is bonkers, especially because he played his first full season last year in 2024. Before that, he played, what, 2 games, I think it said?
Yeah, something like that.
So where do you get off for asking for that much money, for one? For two, like, yeah, he had okay numbers when he did play, 12 games, 199, 303 attempts, shooting for 65. He had 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns. It's decent, really decent. He wants $4 million to stay with Tennessee, right?
Speculated, yes.
Yeah. I mean, he would have to improve a lot to get that number. Because if you look, bro, Arch Manning, $6.5 million is what he makes. Carson Beck, $4.3 million is what he makes. Jeremiah Smith, $4 million is what he makes. And these are guys that are producing. These guys are future stars, future studs, that are going into the league, especially Arch. He's already got his spot on any 32 of the NFL teams somewhere. People. So if your name is up to that standard, dude, and you were proving yourself worthy of that kind of money, yeah, I think that you should get what you. But these kind of numbers are mediocre or low grade talent in the NFL, especially because we're talking about the position of being a quarterback. Dude, you know this as well as I do. $67 million a year is a lot of money compared to $4 million a year.
It definitely is. But what I'm getting at is, though, you've made. I mean, you think of it. If this Lamaliva was recruited at $8 million, right?
Yeah, that's too much money at a recruit.
He was recruited at $8 million, and then you're making another $2.5 million on top of that a year. You've made $16 million. Like, do you even have to go and play football anymore? And it's the same thing with Arch Manning. He's making, what, you said 6?
Yeah.
$6 million a year. That's $24 million. You don't even have to go play football. You can leave college and live the rest of your life happily with that kind of money.
Yeah, but
that's where I'm getting at is, like, that's where I'm getting at that, like, that could hurt the NFL. Like, a lot of these players don't have to go play football after college.
No, but the whole reason why they got into this, I understand where you're coming from, but these guys are going to the NFL. There's no, it'd be different if, like, it was a low end athlete, because I got here that, like, the average market for college players on just a QB is $500,000 to $800,000. For a running back, it's $200,000 to $300,000. For a wide receiver, it's $75,000 to $300,000. And it goes on. I got the rest of it too. But so these are, like, average, players that are coming in, like 4-star, maybe some low-end 5-star recruits that are coming in that are that ain't as fortunate as these guys, like Arch Manning, Carson Beck, Jeremiah Smith and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So in that case, a lot of those people, they don't go play football. Of the $500,000 to $800,000 guys that I was just talking about, a lot of those guys get their college education, use that money to pay off, they got a full ride, so use that money to pay off any other debt that they got, and they bounce. They usually start off businesses inside of, the degree that they went to school for, So, and that, I like I said, in ways, yeah, I do agree with you, because $8 million is a lot of money just to recruit somebody. That's bonkers, dude. $8 million, and he hasn't even touched the NCAA field yet. No,
Right.
no,
No.
that's absurd.
And like I said at the beginning, I agree. They should be paid.
Oh yeah,
They most
absolutely.
definitely should be paid.
But not no $8 million
Absolutely.
to come to my school.
No. And I don't think they should be paid in the millions. I don't.
You
It's
don't
too much money.
wait. Hold on now, because this is a big debate. Like, these kids' faces being plastered all over, and that was the whole reason why we came up with the NIL, is because that's very unfair to lowball a fucking child, an 18-year-old child, to come to my school. I'm gonna pay you a minimum, but I'm going to use your face for all of my marketing. I'm going to make millions off of your face on my marketing. I'm going to make millions off of your face in general. And all I'm going to give you, fucking wide receivers come in for $75K. All I'm going to give you is $75,000. But you're going to make me millions. You know what I'm saying?
I get where you're coming from, but I just think it's a lot of money for a freshman. They're still
Oh, yeah, no, we're on the same page with that. $8 million?
they're
Fuck
still
outta here.
they're still juvenile. I mean, I was juvenile at 18. If you gave me $8 million, I'd be fucking. I don't know. I'd probably be dead. You know,
Yeah.
like if you gave me that kind of money at that young of age, because at that point your parents have nothing to do with it. You're 18,
Well, look at
right?
this. Look,
They can't control your money.
yeah, so to your point, right? Because this brings up a good point. Because I was watching Nick Saban. I seen a Nick Saban clip a while back, and he was talking about Henry Ruggs, and he said, I ain't gonna quote it like exactly, but if he was drinking at a party, if one of his friends told him like had took his keys, like he'd be mad at him. He'd probably not call him his friend. You know, all this night. Basically, he didn't kiss his ass. If he didn't kiss his ass, like maybe Henry Ruggs would still be outside of a prison cell. Maybe those lives
Right.
didn't have to end. So it kind of
Right.
like ties into that kind of stuff too. Of a lot of these kids, they have that type of ego. And
Right.
like I'm
And then
not
you're just
comparing
giving them.
Henry Ruggs to any of these guys, because what happened there was a fucking tragedy. And I
It
feel
definitely was.
you
It
know.
definitely was. And
But
it
that just
just
goes
ties into the.
Yeah, dude, it proves I brought that up because it does prove your point in ways. Like, you give these kids that much money, it could send them to places that you really can't come back from.
Right.
You know?
And no, I don't agree that wide receivers and all them should only make $75,000. I don't.
No,
But-
no. But which, by the way, that's fucking bonkers. Like, a wide receiver, that's a skill. I mean, running back is a skill position too. But wide receivers, think of how many plays are made off of the wide receivers, and it's
Right, right.
a starting of $75,000 to $300,000. That's crazy.
It is. And I think it should start at probably 300,000.
I would say so too. Because if a quarterback is starting up at 500,000, based on
Right.
these numbers, dude, like I'd start them off the wideouts at 300,000,
Right.
and go to like 700,000.
Right.
Because the running backs
Yeah,
are pulling
and
at 200,000 at start.
Right. Right. And that's where I think they need to be, in the 100,000 range. Not 100,000 range, but in the hundreds of thousands of range. Not in the millions of dollars. And obviously I think they should get like compensated for things that are like being used for their name and stuff like that. Like the college football 25, they're all in it. Like they should be getting part of that money. Let them build up to millions. Don't just pay them
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah,
money. You
no,
know what I mean? Let
yeah.
them get the royalties from that.
Yeah,
Pay
that's what
them-
I'm saying. Like, based on
Pay
like,
them equally and give them the royalties.
well, but they do,
you
because
know,
they
on
start
top
this
of
kind
it.
of stuff in high school though. Like their junior and senior year now. You go on YouTube now and you look up like some of these games, like football games from these guys, these high school recruits, dude. These guys are phenomenal football players, and they already have their name up there. So that's what I see. I don't think that it should like, you got to let these kids be kids, let them decide their own future. Yes, but
Right.
at the same time, like, well, I guess no, because like some of these kids they use like these sports to get away from like the situations. Like, think of all these inner cities and everything else, and their moms, their dad's either dead or in jail, or something that happened, to their mom, or even the kids out in the rural areas. Their parents are on drugs and stuff like that. You know, and all they got is football, or all they got is baseball, and they
Right.
worked up, and they have enough money. They ain't gonna take their family with them because their family didn't get them to the dance. That's that high school
Right.
coach, or and they take that money, and it's a Cinderella story. So
Right.
it's one hand it's that, and the other hand it's the situation that I just talked about, where like you give somebody so much fucking money at a very early age, and it just melts their brain.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And to end this conversation, because we could talk all night on this, um, I just, again, I want to reiterate, and we both agree, they deserve that kind of money. They just, I think, let them work up to it. That's all I'm saying. And Archie and all them, yeah, they deserve the kind of money that they're making, but I just don't agree with it. That's just my take on it. That's my opinion. All you guys that watch, and if you're gonna comment, you can come at me all you want, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, no
That is
doubt.
just what it
No
is.
doubt. And like I said, dude, $8 million is a hell of a lot of money to be given somebody, especially because his freshman year, he only played like 2 games. So you wasted $8 million on this guy, and he only
Right.
took 2 snaps for you, or played 2 games for you. But
Right.
you know, speaking on the world of football, man, we'll touch on the draft because that's coming up in in a little bit as well. Uh, Micah Parsons was also in the news. I seen that he's was taking some slack for a podcast or something like that he did.
I did not see that.
Um, Let me pull it up. I thought he was getting his name was there,
Excuse me.
but while I'm looking that up, is there any way that the Dallas Cowboys can fix their free agency horrors?
No.
Because they didn't do shit.
No, they never do shit.
And the one thing that concerns me is the number of draft picks that the Cowboys do have. Because it's not many.
No, it's not. And Jerry Jones gives up fifth rounders like it's candy, and you know damn well you can find generational talent in the fifth round. I'm pretty sure, like tight end for the 49ers. His name's eluding me for some reason. Oh geez, and I should know it. Oh my, I'm an idiot. Oh, people, you can come at me. I don't give a fuck.
That's
Right.
what it was. So Micah was also speaking about that NIL deal.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was. That's what it was.
I could see him bringing that up because he just likes to run his mouth.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Micah is, like, yeah, I like how he's got his own personality and stuff, but, brother, your football team ain't doing nothing yet. You
No.
know? And
we probably won't do anything to be completely honest, because we don't know how to do anything in free agency. We don't go after the big players. We try to rely on the draft, and you can't just rely on the draft. And me bringing up the draft again, I remembered the name. George Kittle. I'm pretty sure he was a fifth rounder pick. And
yeah, I think so.
arguably, if not the best, like second best tight end in the league.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
No, I'll say that George Kittle is the best tight end in the league.
I put him behind Travis Kelce.
You think?
I think so.
Now, are you talking about a skill player, or are you talking about a championship tight end?
I'm talking about a skilled player.
Yeah, no. You're bugging if you really think that. But anyways,
Well, regardless, but
George Kittle was a 5th-round draft pick, and
yeah.
you know, you
So
can
like
find a lot of these gems. Yes, you
you
definitely
can
can.
find gems in those later rounds, and you give up a 5th-round draft pick for a wide receiver from the Panthers last year, who's not anything to write home about, and you also give up a 5th-round draft pick to they just made that trade with
New England.
the
Yeah,
Patriots
they got Joe
for
Milton.
a backup.
We didn't even get to
quarterback.
talk about that. I don't think.
No, not really. And
What is your thought about that? He comes from Tennessee.
I mean, my thought on that, I think it might light a fire under Dak Prescott's ass.
Yeah.
Because you have a younger guy there who can throw a bomb. He definitely can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
He's got a cannon for an arm, and I'm pretty sure he's more mobile than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
He's and he's probably hungry to start. So I think Dak needs to be a little scared because especially with how Jerry Jones works.
Yeah.
If something goes haywire and Dak gets hurt, we know the MO of Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
That's
one of the things
your
they were
starter's
bringing.
hurt. You put the second string in,
Right.
and the starter never comes back.
That's exactly what they were saying. All over the place, dude. All over the places. Look what happened to Tony Romo. The same thing happened to Tony, and then in comes Dak. And the same thing's going to happen to Dak. You hit the nail right on the head, man. Like, it better light a fire under his ass for him to compete, because at this point in time, dude, like, everybody's starting to catch on. Like, Dak, yeah, you could put up all these numbers in the regular season, but what are you doing in the postseason? You're not doing a damn thing. You got it every single time. Dak gets surrounded. At one point, it was the best offensive line in the league with one of the best running backs in the league, and you had Des Bryant there, and nothing happens. And then right now, you got Micah Parsons on one side. You got CeeDee Lamb. You're missing. You got Ferguson there as a safety net, and he was injured, so you really can't judge him for that. But Cooper Rush was fucking, taking that team to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I really hope the best for him. I do, because Dak Prescott is one of those quarterbacks that I think has proven himself time and time again. But with all this talent that he's been surrounded with over the years, dude, and he hasn't really done that much in the postseason with maybe a fresh start. I mean, because wasn't that a thought with, what's his name? Trey Lance?
When that was kind of a thought with Trey Lance.
Yeah. So it's already been on the back burner in these guys' mind for a while now. And now with this acquisition of Joe Milton, Bazooka Joe, like you said, he is mobile. I don't see him as a better dual threat than Dak Prescott, because we're talking about Dak fucking Prescott here. I mean, he's not a bum by any means, dude.
No.
He just needs to get his shit together and get it together fast, because you got a guy coming into now his second year. Even though he fucked us out of that first overall pick, he showed that he can, carry a game, even though it wasn't against full starters. He showed and proved that he can make the moves that he needs to make to put offenses in really good positions, dude.
Right.
And that's something that the Dallas Cowboys are looking at. CeeDee Lamb is young, and with this, they got the 12th pick. They got a total of 10 draft picks this year. They got one in the first, the second, third, and fifth, and sixth. They can easily bring in a running back. I have them taking Tedoror McMillan in the 12th round. I mean, with the 12th pick, that'll add some help to CeeDee Lamb, because there's no really good number 2 in Dallas right now, right? Like somebody that can create that type of diversion to help CeeDee get open and stuff. No, right? So Ted McMillan will do that.
I see here though, which is pretty interesting, on NFL.com. Gennaro Felici. He put up a mock draft 2.0. He's thinking that Dallas trades up with the Panthers to the number 8 to get Jalen Walker,
From Georgia.
edge rusher from Georgia,
Yeah. That's a really good
which I'd be
pick.
okay with.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. To be
You're,
honest, trade up,
you're
get
getting help.
another edge rusher. Yeah,
You know, you're you're
yeah,
you're you're getting help, and
yeah.
they could easily, you know, they could easily acquire, a good receiver in the second round. With I mean, you're not going to get Ted McMillan, or you're not going to get Luther Burden the third out of the second round. Maybe Luther, you could possibly pick him up um in the second round, but you got to get somebody in there that can help CD out. But most importantly, you got to get somebody that can control the ground game. I mean, Genty is pretty much a lock to go to Oakland for because it seems like they're really high on him. But you also got
this mock
Damian
draft I'm
Martinez.
seeing. This mock draft I'm seeing. They got Ashton Genty going to the Jags in the 5th.
Oh, really? That wouldn't surprise me either. But
And
you
then
got to
Oakland
get
taking
somebody.
Will Campbell.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So you got to get some. I mean, either way, Ashton Genty isn't escaping the first round. Yeah.
No.
And he's not going to fall to the second. There's no chance. You got to get somebody in there, like I said, Damian Martinez from the University of Miami. He's a really decent back. You know, they could pick him up. You can get him in the third, second or third round, and it'd be well. There's another guy, R.J. Harvey. I can't remember I think it's a UC. No, I don't know. I can't remember. But is R.J. Harvey's another really good explosive running back. So they got to get somebody in there that could control the ground game, and then possibly another wide receiver to follow. But for them, I do like that pick of them taking that edge rusher, though.
Yeah, I would definitely. I'd be okay with a running back and a wide receiver in the second and third round. I really want them to give some help to Micah Parsons, because he can't be the only one that scares offenses. Like, you got to give him another person on that other side.
Well, yeah, you do.
And I like the idea of trading up to pick up an edge rusher. And let me see if I can find Jalen Walker on the big board just real quick, and then we can get into your Patriots, because we got a mock draft there to talk about real quick. Jalen Walker, 6'2", 245, so he's a decent sized kid there. And just I want to look at his stats real quick. They don't have an overall grade for 2022 or 2023 for him. His grade in 2024 is okay, 73.1. Took a lot of defensive snaps this year, 622. Let's see, are they going to show his sacks or anything like that? No, it doesn't say that, but he had 36 tackles this year.
You're talking about the linebacker from Georgia?
No, Jalen, or yeah, they have Jalen Walker as a linebacker edge rusher.
Oh.
Yeah, on NFL.com, they have him as an edge linebacker.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
Yeah, and then if you go on to the big board,
because
the big board has him as a linebacker. So either way, I mean, Micah Parsons was a linebacker too.
No, absolutely.
So that he could easily go to the edge on the other side.
And then there's another one. There's another edge rusher in Georgia too. I can't remember his name, but bottom line is those guys from Georgia, those two guys from Georgia are phenomenal, and they would be excellent choices to help out the defense there in Dallas. They need to get some help too, in the coverage it seems as well.
Yeah, the other guy you're talking about is Michael Williams.
Yeah. Yep.
And their PFF ranks are about the same. Jalen Walker's at 28, and that Michael Williams is 26.
Yeah. So really good. Really good choices there for the Dallas Cowboys, man. And
Yeah,
I mean
definitely.
I got a bunch of like mock drafts to go through, but we ain't got that much time, so we'll go into the Pats mock draft that I have here. Zach, do you still have that up?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. All right.
You like them taking on your mock draft? I see them have them taking Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Do you think the Browns ain't going to take him?
And so in this one, in this mock draft, the Browns left him and took Travis Hunter, and the Giants took Shador Sanders. But so in this situation, Harold Landry is a great start for the edge rush in New England. Definitely best player available in this situation. Abdul Carter. And a lot of people's boards, they got him as the number one player coming into the league this year. So yeah, I definitely love this pick here. It's this guy's just an all around stud. Follow that, it wouldn't be bad, even though we got Carlton Davis III and Christian Gonzalez, as 1 and 2 on the DBs. I know that we could use the extra help, especially covering the slot. And Trey Amos from Mississippi just fills that position for me. And then followed by that, you need some help. Stephon Diggs is a great vet to go and help, and he's going to create a lot of diversion. I like Trey Harris here, wide receiver out of Mississippi. I got a A- for that pick. Jalen Polk was the guy that I was really high on last year. He just didn't really do it. We've seen a lot from Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas. And, I really like that. I expect Pop Douglas to stay in the starting lineup somewhere, whether it be Abdul Carter, Ted McMillan, or Travis Hunter coming into New England. Pop Douglas will still, be in that lineup. So Trey Harris would be, a decent backup as well. Gives him time to develop. And if we do not take, any of those guys I just named, we do end up going with Abdul Carter, Trey Harris will be an excellent number 2 for us. And then this is the guy I was telling you about before, Zach, from UCF, R.J. Harvey, running back. This guy is really explosive, fast, and it's something that New England really needs. Ramondre Stevenson. Gerard Mayo was high on this guy. I never really seen that. And I think we ended up going with, the backup. I'm drawing a blank on his name for some reason. This would add some depth to the position as well. And then we had to address, some defensive concerns as well. Again, so I went with Andrew Mukuba. I'm sorry, Andrew Mukuba from Texas, safety. And then, dude, for this pickup, this guy fell in my lap. Trevor Etienne. His brother. I was really excited when I seen this pick. I don't see this guy going down this far. I see this guy getting picked up in the 3rd or 4th round. So it was nice to see him there. I didn't think I was going to be able to get him. But again, dude, adding depth to the position, it's something that New England needs. We have a lot of holes on offense that we need to fill, and, this will do it. Followed by that, I took Logan Brown, tackle from Kansas. This guy got a really good pass block grade. Doesn't have a do bad run block grade. I like this, mainly because it's going to give Drake May protection, and that's something that we need. Even though we took the Jets right tackle Morgan Moses, again, we need that type of help on offense. And then Zach, you already know I'm high on these two guys, these two guards
Yep.
here, Clay Webb from Jacksonville State and Marcus Ware from Montana State. I got an overall grade of A- on this, and I'm happy with this. The only thing that I could probably debate the most on this would be that number one pick that I made, mainly because if the cards ain't right, I do think that New England should trade back and not waste the fourth pick overall on a tackle.
Right.
I'm not saying that those guys aren't worthy of it, because they are. It's just if we have a chance to trade back and accumulate draft picks, because this is an edge rusher depth draft. This is offensive line as well. What else is there? We don't necessarily need quarterbacks, because there's a lot of those that are coming in. Whether or not people really want to get into how good the rest of these quarterbacks are, we don't have enough time for that today. But New England doesn't need that. Overall, though, I'm happy with this. Other than that number one pick, and that's only because that could change. You know what I'm saying? Abdul Qadir could go to the Browns, like Zach was saying. He could go to the Giants. Any place but Tennessee, because Tennessee's obviously sold on Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, the rest of it is pretty solid, really solid, and I expect them to go this route. Maybe a little bit more heavy on the offensive line. I guess I could have took somebody in the 5th round with that 144 pick, other than Trevor. Again, though, and as you've seen, it is graded pretty high as well, that pick. But yeah, so I could see that. I could see New England going, offensive line heavy in this, maybe with a little bit on the defense. But for the most part, dude, I think you're gonna see a different look from New England. Before, I was kind of concerned because all these guys were talking about playoff runs. Now I'm not coming on here and saying that, but I could see this team winning more than 4 or 5 games this coming season. Which is kind of shitty. I was hoping for a complete rebuild. So I was hoping maybe one, next year as well, go in, not necessarily tank, but, get a top 10 draft pick, maybe top 15. And maybe that could still happen.
Right. It definitely could.
But this team is looking better and better. And then obviously with the draft, with that, 4th overall pick, the Patriots can go anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, they definitely can.
But anyways, dude, so what do you think about this?
About your draft?
Yeah.
Your mock draft? I like where you went on most of your rounds. I'd say all of them, except for Abdul Qadir. I don't see him going in the 4th. I don't. I see, or in the 4th. I don't see him going the 4th pick. I definitely think Cleveland's going to take him, mostly because of them having Myles Garrett locked up.
Yeah,
and
dude,
they need that other help. They need the other help on the other side.
Yeah, like I said, that seems to be the talk of the town.
Yeah,
with Myles Garrett and the big contract that they gave him, I wouldn't be surprised if they went that route. Like I said before, I started the draft is like on some people's boards, he's ranked number 1. So it really wouldn't surprise me if he went to 2nd overall. And in that case, depending, because with the signing of Russell Wilson, dude, what really makes it tough is whether New York is going to take a quarterback or if they're going to go best player available. Because if New York does take Shedeur Sanders, then New England should definitely go and take Travis Hunter. That's a once-in-a-lifetime chance that you're going to get on a player like that. and I think that you should really go and take that. But if it comes down to like Tedero McMillan is a hell of a wide receiver, but I mean, and I would draft him, but at the same time, like if we can take that fourth pick, trade it, and accumulate like a couple second or a second in the third round, or so on and so forth. If we can accumulate picks from that, then I think they should. I think they should trade down and take Will Campbell from LSU and build off of that. And in that case,
Right.
dude, like that could open up the doors for a bunch of other things, for the Patriots as well. But
Right.
yeah, so it really all depends on one, Cleveland. If because if Cleveland does not take Abdul Carter and they go Shador Sanders, then in that case, New England should really look into Well, I mean, I guess in that I wouldn't know because again, New York is a big one with that Russell Wilson signing. So
Yeah.
I mean, as of now, dude, on paper, it looks like they're not going to take a quarterback, and they're going to try and wing it with Russell Wilson because they do got Malik Neighbors there in New York.
Right. They do. They have a good wide receiver there, and they could. I mean, they could use the help of Travis Hunter. Obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This draft I'm looking at though, real quick, on the CBS Sports, they have New England taking Mason Graham out of Michigan,
Defensive
tackle. I
tackle.
kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that pick too.
Yeah.
Because they just spent, they just did a 9-figure deal with Milton Williams.
Yeah.
And the uncertainty with their other defensive tackle having, blood clots and stuff like that. So to fill up that line, and especially all the spending they've done to upgrade the defense, I could see them taking a tackle as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I kind of like that pick
Yeah.
of a defensive tackle for them as
and
well.
it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. Again, though, like if they did go any type of route and they had a chance to build on the defensive line, I'm all for it. I mean, the main reason I'm all for it is because if you look at a division, look at the work that Josh Allen is doing behind that offensive line. It's not a bad offensive line, and it's not a phenomenal offensive line either, but it gets the job done. And if you can, if you could stack that front line up like that, and be able to pressure somebody like Josh Allen, because before you talk playoffs, you got to talk about winning the division first.
Right.
And if that's the route
That's a hard ask in that division.
Exactly. And if you don't have the guys to go and chase the division, you're definitely not going to be able to go and chase playoff glory, because
Right.
all roads lead to Buffalo, New York, dude. And if you're the New England Patriots, you should really think about beefing up that both lines, offense and defense, because you can easily go and go with the defensive tackle from Michigan, and Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, Either way, either one of those guys from Michigan would be great. Mason Graham is rated above the other one, but either or, dude, would be great. You need those guys in there, especially because of the work that that Philadelphia had done in the Super Bowl against Kansas City, because Kansas City had some really good offensive linemen there. I mean, they had an issue at left tackle. That was it. The center, the guards were all great, and look what Philadelphia did. So if you can match that and bring that same pressure, of your own, it's going to make a tough day in the office for Josh Allen or any other quarterback, that opposes New England.
Definitely will.
But yeah, dude, that's all I got for the NFL.
Yeah, I don't have anything to bring up. And we'll get into more mock drafts in the next episode. But I like the direction that things are going for all these teams and their picks. And that's all I got. You got anything else you want to add real quick?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, and with that, The starters may get the glory, but the bench warmers bring the fun. Tune in for the next episode of the BenchWarmers podcast. And thanks for listening. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell icon for updates.
That's right, dude. All right, everybody. Peace.